The whole thing we now call the Nigerian film industry comes from far much earlier, from a Yoruba tradition of Egun Alari, that is, performing masqueraders. These are people that go from village to village, town to town in the dry season and perform in the village square. Formal performance, scripted and choreographed performance. To the extent that if you see it in this village and you see it in the next village, you will see exactly the same performance with little bits of variation. And after that, now came the so-called Alarinjo. Those who did more than masquerading, they actually now performed plays. And with people like Hubert Ogunde converting to Christianity, so they then started using this same format to present the gospel message in churches, in church halls, in classrooms. And then that now metamorphosed into a theater tradition amongst the Yoruba, which was getting more and more popular. And now the introduction of television to Western Nigeria in the late 1950s now became another impetus for that development, because the idea of television at that time was to be used to disseminate development information and education. Usually, when you talk of broadcasting, you talk of entertainment, education, and information. If you look at the documents presented by Chief Obafemi Awolowo, he didn't even talk of entertainment, he talked of education and information, all for development. The entertainment came as it was a byproduct, really. So now you had a people that were largely non-literate, so you couldn't pass information to them in the form of writing. So the government reasoned that the way to pass information to these people is through audiovisual. And now, most of the materials that the television station acquired from their partners abroad were in English, so there was a need to be able to present programs to people in their language. And this is where the Alarinjo and the traveling theater of the Yoruba came in. So you have people like Oyin Adejobi, Ogunmola, Ogunde, Ogungbe, lots of them, Ishola, Ogunshola. So these were people that the television enterprise brought in to speak to the people in the language they understand. And now, having done that, the people now saw the possibility in cinema. So rather than just go on television, weekly thing, they now made films. And people like Ogunde had a complete company in which he had, some of his wives were projectionists, some were trained to take care of the gate takings, some were trained to take care of setting up the stage, setting up the projector and all that. So they used to travel to produce, to present plays, stage plays. They were now traveling to screen cinema. But when the Babangida structural adjustment program came, and instead of getting, like I did once, get $820 for 500 naira, it then became difficult to continue to make films, because the raw stock, the material that you use to shoot the film, had to be purchased in using foreign exchange. So it now be, and then the film need to be processed abroad. So all that made it difficult to continue with film. There was a particular group of local filmmakers that camped in a place around Lagos, Iyesi-Ota, Meron, to shoot a film. They were caught up with this structural adjustment program thing to the extent that they could not complete the film. Sure. So they had to abandon it. And many of the actors and actresses that had congregated from various parts of Yoruba land kind of got stranded in Meron and Iyesi, and they just stayed because they were embedded in the community already, and they just stayed and they just lived their lives. Now, around that time, video was getting more and more popular, and video was becoming a consumer technology. Okay. So with video becoming consumer technology, people would buy empty tapes and copy films like Sound of Music, Ten Commandments, The Message, so that they can watch at home. Now, one of the traders that was supplying empty tapes by the name of Kenneth Nnebue, he was a major distributor of JVC products, had the idea that you can use materials, this Yoruba theater content, to push the sales of video cassettes, empty video cassettes. So he went to Iyesi-Ota or to Meron and contacted somebody by the name of Ahmed Oguntade, who was one of the producers of those days, and got him to write him skits, plays that he can put on video. Yeah. So he now used that to increase the sale of his video. But then he later discovered that he was making more money from the content than the container. Yes. And that was what spurred him to make about 21 Yoruba films. After which he then thought, I should be able to do this in Igbo too. You know, it's called Kenneth Nnebue, Igbo. And that was the birth of Living in Bondage. Because when he sold the idea to Ahmed Oguntade, probably trying to protect his own role as director, he kept telling, no, this can't work. This trend is not good. This plot is not good. And Kenneth, being an Igbo man who knows that this thing I'm saying, I've seen it happen in my community, it makes sense. So then he went and did it himself. This is what is Living in Bondage, that people now claim to be the beginning of home video, but that certainly is not. That was when home video spilled out of the Yoruba community into the larger Nigerian community.